When you write from the heart, it's always a bestseller. And our next speaker makes her cheeses from the heart. And her cheeses have become a bestseller nationwide that she makes here in Cordova. So please welcome Holly Foster, the owner of Chapel Hills Creamery.
Have you ever wanted to be connected to the source of your food? So, and I'm gonna add a couple more questions so you guys can help me. And if you talk to me throughout the day, then you can help me with this. So, you're on now. The second question is, what would happen if a catastrophe was to happen to our transportation system? Where would your food come from? And another one is, this is a little trivia thing, just something to think about. Does it really mean it's going to rain when the cows lay down? Think about that one. Who wants the answers to these? The answer to that last one, by the way, is no. Cows lay down over 72% of their day because they are little athletes, if you will. They are mothers giving milk, so as some of us may be mothers up here, if anybody has ever breastfed their child, they know that they have to take in a certain amount of extra calories and extra water and get lots of rest, and you are supporting the life of someone else. So we treat all of our cows as their mothers, because that's what they really are. So, now we begin with our with our food for thought. I have to say that my journey began when I met my college sweetheart. He was going to school, to college, to be a veterinarian, and his family was into farming. He was the only child to go to college out of 6. And he had a vision very early on. He was the youngest. And when we started dating, I became very infatuated with their family's business of farming and producing food, and the connection that they had and the passion, as we all know that we do in our businesses, towards their food and producing food for others. So I became totally connected with this whole system with him as soon as we started dating. And then when he asked me to marry him, one little story before this is before we got engaged one night, one of the adventures I got to be able to participate in, I grew up in town with like a hamster and their dachshund. So this was all fascinating to me because they had everything. And one evening after college, my husband said, are you busy? I need your help a little bit tonight. I said, sure, what are we doing tonight? And he had some pigs. They were all his. They were not his dad's. He just had a few of them, and one of them was going to be a first-time mom, and he was very proud of that, and it's a very exciting moment, and I had never seen anything like that. So I got to participate. Well, he left me alone out in this beautiful area where he raised his pigs and all. He said, I've got to run up to my dad's farmhouse and get a heat light because it's a little chilly this evening. These babies are going to need a little warmth. He said, I'll be right back. But if you see feet, then you need to grab it, pull it, and roll with it. And the next ones should come after that easily. Thanks. Okay. And the whole time I'm like shaking and I'm thinking, just keep it in there. So, an hour and a half later, without the light bulb in him, I ended up having to deliver the first pig of that first-time mom. So I was squealing like she was. As my husband says, I couldn't tell which one was the pig. When he asked me to marry him and gave me this beautiful diamond that he picked out all by himself, then he later told me he sold some of his pigs to buy that ring. I realized the connection with the whole thing. So that's how I got started. Now, since I started with the passion with him, the first thing he said is after he graduated with his bachelor's degree in animal science, I remember I'm going to be the vet's wife. And I'm thinking of all these adventures I'm going to be having. He said, you know, I really don't think my heart is in the veterinary business. I just have it in my blood. I want to be a farmer. There's the first time my parents gave me that look. And then I just said, well, okay, well, let's do this. So, but I was ready. I felt like I was ready. But at that point, you know, that's when the real journey and adventure really began. We always need to embrace the unplanned events, I think, and most of the time they will turn out to be the most educational and good things in life. Coming from the Monday through Friday 9-to-5ers, having every weekend and evening off, and certain vacations that have been planned a year in advance, and always on time for dinner. I married the opposite of all of that. So my first 20 years was with the structure, and the second 25 have been with the other side of that story. And still getting used to the unplanned events, such as, you know, whenever there's a family meal, it is always going to be when this cow is in labor, and we'll just have to bring dessert, not hors d'oeuvres. So, with that, I always felt that my husband and I were the black sheep of the family, but we were always the ones that went against the grain of what everybody else is doing. So, as the community is, we bought a farm, and the first piece of it, 45 acres, and that was the first cliff I do believe I say we jumped off of, without the parachute, that is. When the area in here, first it's in Talbot County, with an Easton address, and at this point, you know, most people, if they were continuing to be in farming at this generation, they were inheriting a farm. They were stepping in behind the parents or the grandparents and just continuing on. At this point, we were going to start from scratch. We had 2 young children. And we wanted to do things differently. We wanted to do things small scale. At this point, farming was exploding. It was getting bigger, not smaller. So therefore, we were the opposite of that one. We wanted to do something different. My husband wanted to be a dairy farmer, not just a farmer. That was the other look the parents gave me. That was on both sides too, by the way. I think they knew the work that has to go on behind that. So we wanted to be all natural, grass-fed, cows out on pastures, grazing, no antibiotics, no hormones, no let's turn our numbers in and see how much milk our cows are producing. We wanted to do all the opposite of that. And this was before the recession and before the real local food movement has happened now. The local farmers that have been in farming for years were all betting how many years and how many months we would last for this. How many kids can go out, buy a farm, start a dairy farm and all, and actually think they're going to pay bills. But there's where my husband came in and said, we need to have a value-added product to this. So, one of the adventures with this is I needed to learn dairying. At this point, we were not dairying because we built our dairy from scratch, from the ground up. We had no barn. We had just an old farmhouse on a farm, and that was it. So in this, I realized I had to be part of this planning, and I wasn't sure any of the answers he was asking me. I had no idea what I was doing. So I did ask for one thing. When he sent me to California to learn how to make cheese, that was another great adventure. When I came back, I was charged up and I said, we have to get a dairy cow before we start this dairy business, and then I can make this cheese. Because it sounds like it's rather involved, just the dairy part of it. So, needless to say, farms every day are busy. So, you know, I just thought he just was, you know, that was in one ear and out the other. But Christmas morning, he woke me up at 5 a.m. and said, oh my gosh, you're late, we're not ready. And I said, the kids are asleep, I am ready, why are you up so early? He said, your present is outside and she is waiting for you. So I went outside and there was this beautiful Jersey cow just munching on some hay with her big brown eyes, like, okay. At this point, I had no idea how to milk a cow. And I just, you know, my husband said, get a clean container out of the kitchen. and you'll figure it out. I was shocked, so I did that. At that one point, like, that was the unexplained, that's unplanned things. But I embraced that, and I made a connection with that cow because, we became best friends. Cows, dairy cows, they're every day, twice a day. Okay, Christmas morning, you have to milk the cows. You have to feed them before you feed yourself. So with this present, I learned so much, the connection with the being that was helping me. We helped each other, that dairy farming wasn't a career that we had chosen, it was a lifestyle that we lived every day, and you don't punch the time card out and go home. So that's been a lot of fun. So with that, with Rainey, I realized, wow, other than being a mom and having a great passion for being a farmer's wife and learning something every day, that with this cow and what we started to do is you have to have passion in what you do. So we both grew a love and a passion for our farm, our land, our cows, our kids, and how we're feeding our kids, because we wanted to know, we wanted to educate and feed our community and teach them also the same passions that we have. So with the passion and all the little adventures that we have been on with this journey, one of the things we had to put a limit. We have a budget, unfortunately. And with that budget, buying, 112 acres in Talbot County, the budget after that is very, very limited. Because then we had to put money into the dairy and the creamery, the cows, the tractor. So with each adventure, we tried to see how much we could do ourselves that we didn't have to hire out. So one of these little adventures, I poured concrete when I was 9 months pregnant with our fourth child, and I put up fencing. I wasn't pregnant then, thank God. Growing up in town, I did not even have the privilege of learning how to drive a riding lawnmower, and now I had to learn how to drive a full-size tractor. He didn't ask me to do that a lot, which was good. Reverse is getting out. We've had some good adventures. So, when we did start milking and things, with the budget, we knew we could not start up the creamery side of things. The building was there and in place, but all of the restaurant quality equipment and all is very expensive, everything stainless steel. We needed to have some time on this. So as I had my fourth child, and we started dairying in our dairy in September, and I had my fourth child in October, and I needed to take some time in learning dairying and just being a mom and a farmer's wife and trying to learn all this. So a wonderful person decided and had an idea that we should ship our milk to Pennsylvania and have it turned into cheese for us. So it was our milk, and I thought it was a horrible idea because I'm a woman and we can do it all. And there are not just 24 hours in a day. We all know there's more, right? So I wanted to milk the cows, feed the calves, make the cheese, market the cheese, raise the 4 kids, and whenever my husband needed help on the farm, I'm there. Yeah. So my husband thought it was a great idea because we could start the cheese business on a shoestring budget, but yet it would still be our milk. Well, I didn't like someone else having control of making the cheese. I wanted to make the cheese because I knew how to make the cheese. So I had some time adjusting to that, and again, he was right. We found an Amish cheesemaker and to make the product that we were looking for, to kind of start the business so I could focus on being the farmer's wife, the mom, and we have to do a logo, website, business cards, marketing, and all the other aspects of the business other than just actually making the cheese. So my husband said it'd be great, it'd be a good way to ease into this without, the equipment. So the night that the night before that the first tank load of our milk that was to go to Pennsylvania to be turned into cheese, I got a phone call from the Amish gentleman, the cheesemaker, and he said, I have thrown my back out and I cannot make your cheese tomorrow. Well, in the dairy business, milk is perishable, so we have to move our milk every other day by state law, which is wonderful, keeps it fresh. So I had already called one milk hauler to stop the load to the commercial dairy and called the personal milk hauler, and to have him take it to the cheesemaker in Pennsylvania. So at 9 o'clock at night, I'm on the phone to the milk haulers, which are in bed asleep because they get this stuff so stinking early. So I called Henry back. I said, there's no go on the hauling of the milk. And there was just a pause on the phone. If there's unexpected things, they are opportunities. I said, Henry, is there any way I could come up to make my milk? I have learned how to do this. And he said, oh, see you tomorrow morning. So there started our relationship where I was able to follow every load of my milk up to Pennsylvania and get the control of making the cheese, but also learning on another level. I was like an apprentice. I could, he was there in case I made a mistake or something. And so that was just the best opportunity in the world. But I felt like someone handed me an unlimited credit card. As I finished milking the cows, I raced up to the house, took a shower while the milk hauler was unloading out of our tank into the tractor trailer to follow him to Pennsylvania to make cheese all day that day. I felt like somebody had just given me everything that I'd asked for. We had been years on the farm building everything from the fencing to the milking parlor to this, that from birthing those first babies that we raised on our farm, and when they turned into moms, we now milk them. I was now taking that milk, turning it into cheese with all the same hands, and I just was so excited about that. So those opportunities are there. Grasp a hold, smile, and hold on tight. You never know where they lead you. So the next one would be, no matter how many goals you set for yourself or your business, the experience that you have getting there, it's the best. It's the journey that is the best. It's not the end result. It's actually getting there is where all the learning takes place. It's the aha moments as you're getting to where you need to go. So when we were able to open up our creamery on the farm and change some of the laws and do some things where we now can do things on our farm start to finish, I felt like that was our main goal. When we reached that, and you got to make a new goal. And like, okay, we weren't even into marketing. We were selling everything we were making, which was wonderful. So I'm like, okay, so where would I want to go from here? I feel like, as we started this, as Alice and everybody here, I'm sure at one point, sometimes you have to wear all the hats to get everything started. And that's nice because when you start being able to grow, where you can start hiring people, you appreciate their job because you've done it and you understand it, and then you're a team because you know how much they mean to you and how much they are involved in your business. So as I'm thinking, what's my next goal? I always have trouble with that. Should we do something? Nope, I'm good where we're at, and just, rolling on and keeping things up. But one of the things is, when we started with the Waterfowl Festival, and my husband said, I think 2 coolers full of cheese will last, and you'll be good to go with this, and we'll see how it goes. So the year we opened up was the year that they had their wine and food tent, and we were able to be a guest in that and to serve our cheese first year in Easton. And it was the thrill, and I didn't think it was a goal, but it was a goal after the fact. That when I was able to call my husband around lunchtime and say, you've got to bring us some more cheese, it's all gone, he thought I was joking. Or when the first produce stand opened up for this first time of their season, they carried our cheese, and we called, put an order in. It was a nice big order. She took it, she called the next day and said, we're out. So we're scrambling, making labels on our computer, on our printer and everything, and putting packaging tape over top of it so it looks nice and shiny and more professional than just paper. And going from that to where we are now, it's just been, the journey has been great. So no matter how many goals you set, as you reach them, don't ever think that you're reaching too high or too far, because, if you don't have those dreams and outreaches. So at that point, I had been into a farmer's market, and I hadn't set any more goals at that point. We were just trying to maintain and Wolfgang Puck shows up and just loves our cheese. And I'm like, this is great. So now, you know, the restaurant, The Source in Washington, D.C., also uses our cheddar, and who would have ever thought? But there's been a lot of those other moments of who would have ever thought. So with those goals in mind, and don't ever feel that don't limit yourself with those goals. I was driving to the American Cheese Society conference with my assistant, who was a part-time assistant at the time. We were talking about goals and things, and I said, you know, it would just be, I said, this is not this is a lifetime goal I think I should set for myself now that I am comfortable and we've got balance and I've got employees and things are a go, and as balance as a dairy farm can get, because I don't think they really get real true balance. I said, it would just be awesome if during the awards ceremony that they would just call her name. I don't care where it is or what it's for, just call her name. So and she said, yeah, that would be awesome. This is a national thing. So what the American Cheese Society is everybody and anybody in the world pretty much who makes cheese or has anything to do with selling of cheese or cheese affiliation goes to this conference. This is also a competition. So at this competition, there's workshops, and they're very intense. They're educating. So with these workshops, you learn all kinds of stuff. And I learned after going to a couple of these conferences that don't just enter your cheese in to get placed, you enter your cheese in to get critiqued by the world's greatest cheese makers, cheese buyers, cheese sellers, they're from France, they're from all over the place. They're going to taste your cheese, and they're going to write down on a piece of paper because they don't know who you are or what your product is. They're going to critique you without any connection to you at all. So I said, that's perfect. I developed a new cheese. I changed a recipe, one of the cheeses that we were selling at the time, because I just wasn't happy with it. And I said, I'm going to critique this because I don't know what my palate is compared to the professionals' palates. She said, great idea. So it's a brand new cheese. We had just sent the prints off to the local, to the label company to get printed up. And we're on our way, and I'm excited about all the educational classes I'm going to be learning from. And at the awards ceremony, in between the whole conference, I'm not paying attention. I'm texting my daughter, who is a teenager, that I was hoping she was taking care of the other kids. And where's your father? And is everything good there? And my sister's nudged me. She said, there you go. And I was like, what? She said, there's your name. You won 3rd place for your feta in a national competition. I'm like, no, I was supposed to just get critiqued. No, the labels aren't even done for this cheese. And I felt like I was in someone else's body as you go up and like, wow. So never, ever reach too far for your goals. You never know where they can get you. Thanks.